What's up YouTube? Javi here at Javi's Boom Tech, and today I am a little bit under the weather, but the show must go on. Today we actually have the Sony XB3 back in the house, and today I'm actually going to put it up against the Klipsch Groove, which is another $149 speaker that just recently released about a couple months ago. So should be interesting. Let's get started. Alright guys, so like I said, today we have the Sony XB3 back in the house, and today we're going to go ahead and pair it up against the Klipsch Groove. I've gone ahead and put in the description links to my earlier videos on each of the speakers where I review them and go over most of the features. I won't go into much depth today on the features and what you're going to get with each one, but if you want to find out a little bit more about each, go ahead and go down to the description and click those links and check that out. I will go into some basic highlights here. Both speakers, like I said, are 149 bucks. They are the latest and greatest from Klipsch and Sony. Both are weatherproof or more splash proof. They're built really tough. They can take a splash and survive. The Klipsch Groove is got a better build quality. It feels more durable than the Sony. The Sony XB3 is a little bit more plasticky feeling. However, I do like the matte finish that you do get on the Sony. Make it a little bit more grippy, a little bit easier to carry around. That being said, other features, they both have speakerphone capabilities. The Klipsch Groove is missing that charge out. It does have micro USB charging, whereas the Sony XB3 is a proprietary. That being said, guys, before we get to the speaker test, let me take a little bit of medicine. That way it goes a little bit smoother. Give me 1 second. I'm already feeling better. So without further ado, guys, let's get to the speaker test. We're gonna do the indoor first, and we're gonna take it outdoors to see if these can really survive outdoors, if they can carry and provide the power to still sound good outdoors, since they both are built for the outdoors and built to take a beating out there. So let's get started, guys.
I can't wait till I get you on the floor, good looking. Going out so hot, just like an oven. And I would burn myself, but just had to touch it. But it's so fine, it's mine. Hey baby, we don't mind all the watching. Cause if they study close, real close, they might learn something. And he ain't nothing but a little doozy when he does it. You're so fine tonight. And as long as you got your suit and tie, I'ma leave it all on the floor tonight. And you got fixed up to the nines. Let me show you a few things. All pressed up in black and white, and I'm dressed in that dress you like. Love is when
guys, so we have the Sony XB3 and the Klipsch groove all set up outside. Like I said, we're gonna go ahead and do this sound test at let's start about 80%, since we are outdoors and it is pretty loud out here. There's lots of noises out here, cars in the background, and my neighbor's band practice. So we'll really get a good feel for how these two do outdoors and which one seems better suited for the outdoors. But anyway, let's go ahead and get this started. Alrighty guys, so let's bring up the music here and let's go ahead, and I'm gonna start with the Klipsch groove, and I'm gonna start it at about 75%, and then we'll just go switch between the Klipsch groove and the XB3, see what they sound like. So I'm gonna go about 10 feet or so away. So here we go. Lots of noise out here. That's about 75, almost 80% on the Klipsch groove. So it actually sounds pretty good. It's a little bit hard to hear though because there is so much noise out here. But it's a good example of how to do when you yourself are outdoors with it and facing a lot of noise outdoors. So I'm just gonna go all the way to max here. See if it can overcome all this exterior noise. Not bad. The Klipsch groove is a pretty balanced sound. Nothing's over boosted or over exaggerated. So it's a pretty little puppy here, always at my feet. But anyways, yeah, it's a pretty balanced sound. Nothing over boosted. It sounds really nice. It doesn't do that bad a job of cutting through the ambient noise. Pretty decent actually. So let's go over to the XB3 and see how the XB3 handles all this noise. So that's about 75% there. I gotta admit, the guitar sound a little bit more lively on the Klipsch groove. It's a little bit more recessed on the XB3. Let's check to see extra bass is on. So let me turn it off for now. Let's go to max here, see how that sounds. A little better. Let me go back to the Klipsch groove. I gotta admit, the Klipsch groove actually sounds pretty good out here. The guitar and the vocals sound really nice. Let's go back to the XB3 here. Yeah, I was actually expecting the Sony XB3 to perform a little bit better than the Klipsch groove, but I gotta give it to the Klipsch groove on this one. It's a little bit more lively. It's a little bit more vibrant. The bass is a little bit more obvious, apparent on the Sony. It's doing a little bit better with the low end, but the mids and highs, I gotta give it to the Klipsch groove. Let's go back to the Klipsch groove, see if we can tell the difference. Oh yeah, it's definitely more detail in those highs and the mids. The voice and guitar just sounds a little more defined, a little more refined than they do on the XB3. I gotta say, I'm a little bit more impressed than I thought I'd be with the Klipsch groove outdoors, so not bad. Let's get another song up here. See, well, let's do a little blues here. Let me back up, test out the range here. So I'm about 25 feet away. I don't know if you heard it, but it did cut out a little bit. So you can still hear it. I mean, it's definitely struggling a little bit to be heard out here. Not like a JBL Extreme or IO-XS9 outdoors, but still enough to be heard. And there is quite a bit of noise out here, as you can hear the band practicing behind me. So let's switch to the XB3 here. XB3 is doing a little bit better on this song, actually. It's carrying a little bit more. Let's activate extra bass here. Like I said before, extra bass indoors doesn't really sound that great to me. It sounds a lot better without it indoors, but maybe outdoors that's really where it's supposed to be engaged and really makes a difference. So let's put it up to max here. Yeah, sorry guys, really loud, but it should provide a good example of how they're gonna do outdoors in loud environments. Let's switch back to the Klipsch here. Get a little bit closer. So about 8 feet or so away. Definitely more low end on the XB3 than we're getting on the Klipsch. Definitely boosted sound with that extra bass. Carries a little bit more than the Klipsch groove does, so it is a little bit better suited outdoors, especially with that extra bass mode on. However, the Klipsch groove definitely has a more balanced sound. So it really depends which sound you like. If you like the boosted one or a more natural sounding speaker, which the Klipsch groove definitely is. Definitely getting loud out here. I think there's a motorcycle in the background, so these guys are really being challenged out here. I'm picking up a little bit of distortion on the Sony, which I also heard when I did the indoor test on my last video when extra bass is engaged. So it's not as clean sounding as it is without it. So let's go back to the Klipsch groove one more time. See if I can pick up a slight hint of distortion on the Klipsch groove. However, it does sound a little bit cleaner than the XB3 does, especially when it has that extra bass. However, like I said before, the XB3 does carry a little bit better because it does produce that better low end thanks to that boosted bass. Alright guys, let's head back inside. Alright guys, so those are the speaker tests. I hope you were able to hear the differences indoors and outdoors. As you can probably hear, outdoors, they aren't huge speakers. They do have a little bit of trouble cutting through all that ambient noise and the live band playing behind me. But hopefully you were able to tell that the Sony did do a little bit better. It was able to carry a little bit further just because it's got that boosted mode. That being said, I still think the Klipsch groove sounded a little bit better. It's definitely more balanced than the Sony. The Sony is definitely a boosted speaker. The Klipsch groove just sounded really good on that acoustic song with the vocals and the guitar, just really vibrant, really rich. Whereas on the Sony, I don't know if you could tell, but there's a little bit more recessed with the vocals, and it seemed like it was struggling a little bit with the guitar. It was more muffled with that bass just kind of muffling everything in the mids and the highs. It wasn't as clean sounding. That being said, it did get louder, especially with the boosted mode. Without the boosted mode, the Sony isn't that much louder, but it is still noticeable, especially indoors. Indoors, you can definitely tell that the Sony is a little bit louder, and when you do engage that extra bass mode, it does become very noticeable that the Sony is louder than the Klipsch. Both at full volume do get a little bit harsh. They do start to struggle with those complicated tracks, and you do hear a little bit of distortion in both of them. They just don't sound that great at max. The sweet spot is really between like 55 and 70%. That's where they really shine. The Klipsch Groove, I gotta give it to the Klipsch Groove. I actually really liked it, especially with that acoustic song. It just did a much better job of keeping it together and just a lot more vibrant with those mids and those highs, where the Sony was just throwing a little too much bass where it wasn't really necessary. It made the song kind of sound a little bit off, that acoustic song. Whereas on the Klipsch, it just sounded really good, and it had enough low end on the Klipsch that when it did need it, it was there, and it just really well-rounded sound. That being said, it really comes down to what you prefer. If you like that boosted bass, boosted highs, you're gonna like the Sony XB3. If you're more of a balanced sound kind of guy, more natural sounding, then you're definitely gonna be better off with the Klipsch Groove. Both are great speakers. It just depends really on what you like. Either way, I think you'll be happy with both. They both offer a lot. I've gone ahead and, like I said, left descriptions to prior videos that I did on both, going more into depth on the features that each one has and some of their limitations and some of the pros of each. So definitely go ahead and check out that description down below. That's gonna do it for me, guys. I am off to take some NyQuil because actually I am really stuffed up and this cold is pretty nasty. So I'm gonna go ahead and rest up, get ready for Saturday. All right, guys, thanks. Bye.